So in the comics, Ms. Marvel is an Inhuman because at the time, in the early 2010s, Marvel Comics did not want to promote anything owned by Fox. So no X-Men's. They didn't do a lot of X-Men stuff. No mutant stuff. No Fantastic Four stuff. They tried to push the Inhumans. They were going to make an Inhumans movie. Then Kevin Feige's like, this is dumb. Then they made an Inhumans TV show, which was really bad. Then they blew up his head, Black Bolt's head in
Doctor Strange.
So the only reason in my head that Kamala Khan is an Inhuman is because they didn't want to make her a mutant.
Right.
In this, now that they do own the mutants, they did a thing in the beginning, Toby, you remember, where they're like, oh, your powers were unlocked by the bangle, but they're not coming from the bangle.
Right. They're from within.
So I'm like, oh, they're going to make her an Inhuman. And because the Inhumans, instead of being they don't just get their powers like mutants do.
Okay.
They have to be exposed to some mist.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, cool. The bangle's going to be that mist and she's going to be an Inhuman. No.
Marvel was like, we're gonna one up that.
We're gonna hit you in your Marvel.
Yeah.
We're gonna.
You know what you guys have all been wanting? We're gonna do it.
So they say it again in the last episode, and he's like, "Oh, I looked at your DNA. Normal thing high schoolers say to each other.
I'm a high school student. I have a PCR machine.
I have a PCR machine, and I did a polymerase chain reaction, and I looked at your DNA, and it looks like it's different than all your families, and it's mutated.
Crazy.
And he looked straight at the camera. And in case that wasn't obvious enough, then they played the 90s.
Like so fast.
Which is now the second time they played that theme.
Well, the first time was in Doctor Strange, right?
Was in Doctor Strange. When,
yeah.
If it wasn't obvious enough,
here comes Doctor.
Professor X was coming out. I don't think he has a doctorate. I gotta look that up.
He should. As a professor, don't you need a PhD?
I don't know I think maybe he has a doctorate in genetics.
Yeah, but you need...
Or in education. I gotta look that up.
Right, but...
He runs a school.
You would be called a doctor, no?
Is it a charter school or a private school? Because if it's charter school, I'm anti. I'm anti-X-Men now.
Different conversation.
As a union teacher, I'm out. So, yeah. I mean, so it just, I think, really, for me, showed that I am just a disgusting MCU fanboy. And that this is the kind of stuff that will take a show that I didn't really care about and make me go,
yeah,
she's a mutant, X-Men's.
It definitely helped solidify the fact that the X-Men are in fact going to be brought in, which was nice.
I think they already mentioned they're going to make a movie called The Mutants, not necessarily X-Men, which is okay, eventually they'll
close enough. I mean, they need to have that name. They're not just going to be called eventually. The Mutants.
Yeah, so now, and people were curious, how are they going to add mutants to the MCU?
Here you go.
Because,
who else is a mutant that's already here?
Oh, that's traditionally a mutant?
Yeah, anybody?
I think Spider-Man is not considered a mutant. So they just have, now they can bring on new people. Yeah, aside from Professor X, who was in a different universe.
Right.
There is no other MCU character that was traditionally a mutant.
Which is great, because now we can have all of these other characters be introduced and have an X-Men.
I think the only thing that I'm worried about is that there are a lot of characters who are mutants who have not been in the MCU yet that have a very long history, that if you removed that history, they're not going to be the same character.
So Gino's talking specifically about Magneto.
Yeah. So I'm not Jewish, Toby. You're Jewish.
I am Jewish.
Now, I guess this is weird because Magneto is a villain. And part of his origin story is that he was in the Holocaust.
I still don't care that he's a villain. I mean, give me Sir Ian McKellen.
Would you be upset if Magneto was not a Holocaust survivor in the MCU?
I would be curious as to what his backstory would be. My hypothesis is a solution is that his powers keep de-age it, keep him from getting older.
Yeah,
so he's still born in the 1930s, whatever, 20s, still goes through the Holocaust, ages super slow. So still old. But
and I was saying they could do like a Captain America where like somehow he got frozen or teleported to the future.
Like something like that. But you can still, I honestly don't think they would change that about him.
Yeah.
Because it's just so embedded in
right.
who
Like
he
what do you do? Like he is so
That's
embedded.
his trauma.
Like with Captain America, he's so embedded in World War II that they had to, even in the 70s when they brought him back, they had to like be like, oh, he was frozen this whole time.
Right.
I wonder in the comics how they do this because Magneto is a Holocaust survivor in the comics. The comics have like a sliding time scale where like whenever you're reading it, it's like that's
the present day.
That's the present day. So like I wonder how they do it in the comics. Someone comment. I'm gonna look it up. Is Magneto still a Holocaust survivor? Is he even alive right now?
Right, like what's
I don't
going
even
on
know
with
what
the
goes on in the
X-Men?
comics. I don't read the comics. I'm trying to read House of M. I still have to finish it.
Yeah, that was for free too.
I got it for free, and I haven't read it yet. That's supposed to be like one of the best X-Men comics ever. The other character that I'm also worried about is, and I'm trying to do this, is Wolverine. Because Wolverine's whole thing is that he's been alive since like the 1800s, 1700s.
Oh.
He fought in the Civil War. He
know
fought in
about
World War I. He fought in World War II.
With all of his, but not with his fingers.
with bone claws.
Okay.
So he had bone claws, and then he gets captured by secret Canadian agents that like definitely don't exist. Sorry, Canada.
No way.
Is whenever I'm like, yeah, he was part of a secret Canadian military. I'm like, no, wait, there ain't no secret Canadian military.
Sorry
Yeah.
for taking you.
Yeah, come on. So he gets captured, and they put adamantium on his bones.
Got it.
But yeah, remember we watched the episode of the X-Men animated series where he fought in World War II with Captain America?
Yes.
It's like that's apparently a thing. That's a real thing.
Adorable.
So like, was he just around this whole time, not being a superhero?
I mean, I think that's easy because he's a loner. He like
Until
goes
he meets
into
the X-Men.
hiding. Right. I think that would be.
He's also a Hulk villain first.
Ooh, a
He
Hulk
started
movie
a Hulk
maybe?
villain, so
Can we
maybe they throw him into She-Hulk.
Let's. Is Bruce Banner also in She-Hulk or no?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I think
'cause
he's green sometimes, and
I
he's
really
not.
miss
Professor
Mark,
Hulk.
I really miss Mark Ruffalo.
I know, but like I don't
He's-
like Professor Hulk. I thought he sucked.
Yeah, but I would rather see Mark Ruffalo. You're
Yeah,
right.
but I want like mean crazy Hulk back. I want baby Hulk.
If you
from
get
Thor
both of
Ragnarok.
them,
Yeah.
right? Let's do that.
Also, is
Kevin
Matt
Feige.
Murdock gonna be in?
Bring him in
She-Hulk?
too.
Okay, so we're